Hi, so I'm gonna start doing this thing. I'm gonna call it Cinema Crap. Basically like a diary journal or whatever about um uh movie opinions and where my movie projects are at the moment and stuff like that. Uh, I'm gonna start out by explaining who I am. I guess I have like zero movie credits, even though I was technically like sort of a producer on one that sucked. It's called 100 AD 180 Grados, a Mexican movie. And for this other one, I was like a location something. It's a TV show from Amazon, a Mexican one that also no one saw. Uh, La Vida Sin O, it's called. Uh, what else? I've taught I've taught film as an extracurricular activity in the most prestigious art school in Monterrey, Mexico, where I am. I was born in Houston, but I've lived here my whole life, basically. Uh, I've also studied film for a very long time in Maharishi International University, where David Lynch taught. I studied smartphone filmmaking, which is becoming a pretty big deal these days with Danny Boyle's 28 Years Later sequel, because he directed it on iPhone 15, I think. They also taught like transcendental meditation, which I think the Beatles used to do and stuff like that. And what else? Uh, VFX and animation. I went to Met Film School, and they had all sorts of people who like they would study there and go on to work like on a James Bond movie and all sorts of things. And they would have people visit and give master classes, like Jack O'Connell from Skins, and I don't know. It was like there would always be some, because it's right next to Ealing Studios. There would always be someone like I think it would be like Alex Garland or Charlie Broker or whatever his name is from Black Mirror. There would always be someone like that walking around or like cutting his hair there, uh, stuff like that in London. And what else? What else have I studied? I mean, whatever. Um, so movie opinions. Uh, Finally, I mean it's January to March. That's like the movie dump or something like that they call it. It's like the worst movies of the year, and finally we're in April, mid-April, and like finally one or two movies that are at least worth seeing are coming out, like the Alex Garland's Warfare, which might be good. Um, and like an actual U.S. Army veteran directed that. He co-directed that with him, so that might be good. It's a true story. And Ryan Coogler's Sinners also looks very good. Like everyone's talking about it online, and he's like a brilliant director. Like I saw him start out. I was at the L.A. Film Fest for the premiere of his first movie, Fruitvale Station, and like they had the family of the actual. It's a true story. They had the family of the victim there in the premiere, and they all like gave the movie a standing ovation. It was incredible. Like for a director to start out with like a movie that powerful was super amazing. So like I've seen him from the very beginning. I'm a very big fan of his. Well, like not that big a fan, but like I love Fruitvale Station. What else has he made? Like Creed, that was good. Black Panther was great, and then like Wakanda, I saw it like halfway or something. But I mean, he's a great director, so it's like I feel that finally doing something original again, it's gonna be a great movie. Jack O'Connell's also in it, and it's like a vampire movie, but I feel like it's gonna be hardcore. Like there's gonna be something to it that's grounded in reality, and the vampire thing is just like a fantasy element to get that through in a way that has mainstream appeal. So I feel it's going to be a great movie. Something also on the news is like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood 2. I thought it was an April Fool's joke. That, like, for that movie to actually get a sequel is super weird because it's like Quentin Tarantino's not directing it. I don't know if the last time that happened was Natural Born Killers, which he ended up hating, even though he wrote it, because Oliver Stone directed it. So it's like, I mean, with David Fincher, it's obviously different, but they have styles that are so different from each other that it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. It's like, I love the idea that someone else is directing Quentin Tarantino's screenplay because we haven't seen that in a very long time. And with like True Romance, it's a great movie. I mean, it has happened and it does turn out great. So I really want to see it. And what else? What else? I think Tom Cruise would have been amazing as a main character, Cliff Booth. But I mean, Brad Pitt is also amazing. So it's like, whatever. And what else? What else? What else? I don't think he's actually gonna retire, Quentin Tarantino. He says like he's making 10 movies and that's it. I feel like that's total BS because I mean a lot of directors have pulled that trick. Like Michael Bay said that I think before like Transformers 3. There's a bunch of directors who do it and their movies do incredibly at the box office. So it's like a proven formula for them to get their audiences to say, "Look, it's our final movie, we need to see it because I mean we're fans of his. So this isn't more important than just some movie in the middle of his career." So I think he's pulling a trick on everyone. I mean, technically, I think he's already. I mean, I guess he counts Kill Bill as just like the two movies as just one movie, but technically he already has made 10 movies. So it's like I don't know. It's super ridiculous because that's like one of the main people that got me into movies, like the way he made Pulp Fiction and seeing it at a very young age, and it just kind of breaking all the rules. And I mean he says like that he adopted some of Jean-Luc Godard's uh, filmmaking techniques, but that's like putting himself down because what he does by telling a story non chronologically with Pulp Fiction, uh, and basically treating them as kind of like someone would write a comic book where they pick up, or I don't know if like a comic book, or just like an ordinary book where he goes from one character to the next, and he's not subjected to the plot of a movie to having a MacGuffin. I mean, technically, the briefcase is sort of a MacGuffin, but that's not the core of the story. Like we don't even care what's in the briefcase. He never shows us. So like to see a director doing that and changing Hollywood, like it came out in the '90s. Someone so important to Hollywood, like for independent filmmaking, uh, like for him to say that, it's super depressing because it's like the way he talks about movies in interviews. He's so passionate about them, and he transmits that passion to other people, like love for actual film and not digital. I mean, technically now you have like Danny Boyle making this big Sony movie 28 years later, a sequel to it's a third movie. Uh, so now it's this trilogy, and I mean, technically it goes with the first movie being filmed on mini DV, which is like a digital camera that people used to use like in the 90s or something. And so it goes with that template of making movies, but I feel like it's going to change everything because now like right now there's a Samsung that's 8K. He filmed it on 4K on the iPhone, but now you have 8K, and supposedly 8K is supposed to be the equivalent of 35 millimeter. Like supposedly, uh, 4K is like 16 millimeter, which can pass for 35 millimeter, which is like mainstream, what you see at a mainstream cinema. So that's like ordinary movie theater quality. Uh, but 8K is like actually the digital replica in a sense of actual 35, which is what you see, the average movie, the average quality movie. And then 70 millimeter would be like 16K or something, which is an IMAX. Um, and I mean, technically, you can make lesser than that quality pass for it, just like a 35 millimeter can get blown up into 70 millimeter and turned into like an IMAX movie. You can fake it, but to actually achieve that true quality of the average mainstream cinema, you need 8K, which the Samsung now has. The iPhone is going to get there very soon. So it's like if he makes this movie 28 years later, Danny Boyle, and it turns into a box office success, that's going to change everything. Everyone's going to cell phones are no longer going to be like, oh look, Steven Soderbergh made one of his Netflix movies on an iPhone, or like Sean Baker made Tangerine on an iPhone, and that was like his first big break or whatever. Uh, or like Searching for Sugar Man back in 2010, filmed like one or a few scenes with an iPhone app. It's not going to be that sort of thing. It's going to change into mainstream filmmakers working with big studios making smartphone movies. So it's like if he manages to succeed with this, uh, it's going to change everything because what are movie theaters going to do? Like if someone can actually make a smartphone be on the same level as a professional level cinema camera, it's like, what are they going to put out there to compete? There could either be like this big wave of like independent cinema like there was in the 90s, and that could maybe change, make big studios say, look, we can't compete with this. We need to evolve, and by evolving, maybe they could go back actually to using actual film like 35 millimeter, and for like, I don't know, an Avengers type movie, it would be 70 millimeter, and stuff like that, like Christopher Nolan usually uses. So I think this is it's gonna be great because it's gonna push them to deliver actual quality, which kind of stopped somewhere around 2013 when even like Martin Scorsese said, I'm gonna distribute Wolf of Wall Street solely digitally instead of on film. So I think that was a big time where everyone said, look, I mean, we know it's actually better quality, but we need these movie theaters to make more money, so we're gonna just deliver cheap quality, and people aren't even gonna notice. And I mean, obviously, people do notice because if you see Ryan Coogler, that's like one of the last movie directors who's making big things. He started out with a 16 millimeter film. So all these filmmakers who have started out just like a decade ago but are now doing big things, they actually started out using film while everyone else was using digital because it's cheaper and all this. Maybe making like a found footage horror movie and just like trying to find a cheat code to succeed in Hollywood using all these tricks that they might work, but in terms of longevity, it doesn't work. Like they last less than a decade. They come out with one, like maybe a trilogy of horror movies, and that's it. It's like everyone forgets about them, and that's it. So who knows what's going to happen? But I think it's going to be a great thing. I think it would be even greater if we look into something like, uh, well, what all these, I mean, higher frame rates Peter Jackson kind of started it out, I think, or well, maybe way before that was like Douglas Trumbull, but I mean that doesn't even count. That was like an experiment or something. Uh, Peter Jackson, well, that was also kind of an experiment with The Hobbit. Then they spread it out into three films. Like they got super greedy. They said we need three movies of one book. That's shorter than the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which they adapted into one book each. And it's like I think Guillermo del Toro was gonna do just two movies, and Warner Brothers said like, look, we need more. We need to make as much money as we can with this. Just we don't care. It doesn't have to be quality. Just make us money. And so what he did, Peter Jackson, I mean, he's like a responsible filmmaker who actually has integrity. I think he said like, okay, I'm gonna just sell out with this one, but I'm gonna actually do something that changes cinema by using a higher frame rate. Now, where this fits into what movie theaters are gonna do is that not everyone's going to change back into film. A lot of them are going to say, "Look, that's not cheap. We don't even know how to process that thing in the lab. We don't even know what it is. We're just used to using our iPhones and professional digital cameras. We don't know what that is." Like maybe some visual effects artists actually do use it. They film on actual film, but that's not the entire movie. Like they'll just handle visual effects that way. So that they look more quality, more realistic or whatever. But directors who control like the whole movie, they don't use that anymore generally. So what they could turn to could be higher frame rates, like Peter Jackson, James Cameron, and Ang Lee. They could decide to go, instead of 24 frames per second, which is the average movie, they could say, look, let's just like them to do 48 to 120 depending on their style, their preference. So I feel that's going to become the norm because not everyone can handle filming on actual film. They don't even know what it is. It works for movie makers coming in, and it kind of separates them from people who know how to make a quality movie from like the rest of them. But not everyone's going to use it, and yeah, honestly, like most people can't even tell the difference if they see it on their phones or computer or stuff. So it's like, I don't know, some people might even prefer digital to film. Like they're used to playing video games. The only difference is that they're used to playing video games with a higher frame rate on them. Like for example, Call of Duty Black Ops, that's in 120 frames per second, not on 24 like the average movie. That's on the same frame rate that Ang Lee filmed Gemini Man on. So Ang Lee is, I think he's like the only one to go that far to using 120, which is supposedly that mimics the frame rate that our human eye sees in. We don't see in 24 frames per second. We see it in 120. So he went all the way to doing it in that exact frame rate, and the final product is Gemini Man, which is like, that's it has a script from like the 90s or something that everyone like passed on, and they covered it with product placement and turned it into like this movie with Will Smith playing himself, like the main character, and a younger clone. I feel they put it was too convoluted. They put too much into it, like the de-aging visual effects when you already have this challenging higher frame rate. That's like it's too much. But the same happened with The Hobbit. They're dealing with a fantasy world. Fantasy is hard enough to put in movies or TV. And Lord of the Rings did change that and open the door for like something like Game of Thrones to be made later, but they did it using old techniques. They use it on, they filmed the trilogy on film for the Lord of the Rings, and they basically aim to do. I mean, some of it looks like battle scenes look like, I don't know. It's a mix of films that already exist, like Braveheart, Spartacus, maybe, or maybe not. I'm not sure, but basically what he did was treat the world like kind of like George Lucas with Star Wars and World War II by taking actual documentary footage and replicating it but transforming it into his original work. He did that but with things from like way older time periods of like medieval fighting or stuff like that. I'm not sure. So um I feel with The Hobbit, it was leading even more into fantasy. It wasn't like Lord of the Rings where it was kind of grounded in something that we know, like our history. And because of that, he's using 48 frames per second and this, and it's like, it's too much. Uh, I'm not sure. But I mean, these movies were successful. The higher frame rate movies, like Ang Lee wasn't successful, maybe. Like, not as successful, but The Hobbit, I think it had like one of the like it won I think it won like billions of dollars and I remember it having like one of the biggest TV deals with like HBO buying the rights for like 10 years for like $300 million or something. And I mean Avatar 2, which is also 48 frames per second, obviously is one of the highest grossing of all time. And people started copying his 3D when the first Avatar came out, so it's only a matter of time before they say, let's copy the higher frame rate. And so instead of the 3D the way it was in 2010 after Avatar onwards, it's going to be okay, now let's copy his higher frame rate, especially with this smartphone catching up to digital professional cameras thing. And if they don't do that, honestly, it's gonna be terrible because you're gonna have so many people. Everyone knows how to use smartphones as cameras. There's so many creators online. It's not that difficult for them to just get together and make movies. So it could be like what happened in the '90s with independent cinema, but in excess. Like it's gonna be super excessive. Uh, it's no longer gonna be like there's like this hierarchy of what you have to do to get in. Like send it to Sundance and all that, and the short film before that, stuff like that. That's not gonna happen. It's gonna be like straight to. There's so many things that can be bypassed right now. So like you could just put your movie on iTunes straight away. So I don't know. It's gonna be very difficult for big studios, and they're gonna need to really put in the effort to actually still be considered, the big six or whatever it's called. Like, I mean, I don't know if it's still even called that since the streaming age, with like all the streamers probably fit into that category now, and some would be left out. So I don't know. What else? Well, as for my movie projects, it's like I have nothing going on. It's like I don't know. I feel like I've tried everything I can to make screenplays, try to get them produced. I mean, I'm outside of the movie business, so it's like I work in logistics, and it's like we deal with big clients. Like some of them have sponsored like big football, soccer teams or whatever. Like the biggest ones actually, like Real Madrid and Chelsea FC, and I mean, who knows? Maybe I could get product placement through something like that for like a soccer movie. Who knows? But it's like I've tried everything with like my two projects right now. I tried to make a sequel to Goal, the franchise with Kuno Becker, and it's like it didn't go anywhere. Like, it just seemed like it was going somewhere. I mean, I know that first you need to get the rights for this sort of thing. First, you need to go to the creators, or like in this case, from what I researched, it was very weird because the first movie it was like entirely funded through product placement. Goal one, The Dream Begins. That I think it came out in like 2005, and Adidas paid like $50 million just to be like the main sponsor in the movie, for their teams to be the protagonists, and all sorts of things. And so, from what I've read, the first one, the rights, Disney has the theatrical rights. Uh, then for the third one, which was a direct to DVD one that no one liked, uh, they Lionsgate has like the home media rights, and that's it. And so I don't know if the rights recede to the creator Mike Jaffaries and like the screenwriter Adrian Butchart of the first one, or like what, I don't understand. It's like I just figured out that, if it doesn't work, then I'll just use my original screenplay version and basically do the reverse of what J.J. Abrams did with Cloverfield Lane, which is that he bought an original screenplay, turned it into something that fits within the Cloverfield universe, made it a sequel of sorts, and that's it. And so I could basically do the reverse of that and just do like my own thing instead of making it about a continuation to the goal story. But I mean, I think it would have been perfect because I mean, everyone in Latin America, everyone loves that movie. Like maybe it doesn't have the box office numbers because they pirated it or something. Like they at the time it was like, I don't know if VHSs were still there. Maybe it was already DVDs, but Latin America, they pirate movies all the time. Like it's super common in this culture. So they just don't want to pay for movies. Like they want to see as many movies as they can, but it's like no one's gonna pay for them. And I mean, technically, I think you can actually legally do that if you're a student. But like for, I don't know, but whatever. So I mean, as far as the box office numbers, the Goal franchise wasn't successful, but I know that in Latin America, people are crazy for that movie, for the first two especially, because everyone would like, they would support the teams that were in those movies, and they would buy Adidas products. After that, everyone went crazy for buying like Adidas jerseys for, their favorite teams and stuff. So it did have an intended effect in that the producers didn't have to pay anything, so it's already technically a success for them. They don't have to worry about the box office. And for Adidas, it's great because they spend, I forgot the exact figure, I don't know, just to make something up, like they pay $30 million a year of like commercials and stuff. So that's the best commercial they could get. That's an actual movie that had a mainstream release, and everyone around the world knows about it. So it's like, I don't know. The movies are technically a success if you see it from that perspective, not from the perspective that movies usually base their success on. And technically, the first movie had, I'm not sure if it was the biggest product placement deal at the time, but it was pretty big. Uh, and so from what I've read, Mike Jaffaries went to like all sorts of teams, like Arsenal, Brazil national team, and all sorts of teams, and they were all like, no, we're not going to do that and stuff. And he ended up with Newcastle. I think it was because of Adidas. And they basically went from there. They fired the first director, which was, I forgot his name, the guy who made 24, what's it called, 24-hour Party People or something, from the Manchester musicians movie. That's like a mockumentary. Michael Winterbottom, that's his name. And so they apparently he decided, like, he made the whole template for how it was gonna go, the movie. He was a director, and they said, at a certain point they just fired him. Like, that was it. That's all they wanted from him, and that was it. Because supposedly he was going in another direction. He was gonna make it, more like British, like more darker and pessimistic and stuff. Like obviously for British people, that sport is a religion, but they take it maybe way too seriously for like the average person around the world. So maybe he would have done it in a way that's, and they're also like they're very blunt. Like their movies will, they're not focused on a happy ending. Like maybe they don't care so much about it making money and stuff, and they want it to be more authentic. They all grow up around theater and like take acting super seriously. So I don't like maybe it wouldn't have been the thing it was had he stayed on board. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. So basically, Danny Cannon took over and made it like a more Hollywood mainstream film. And then what happened was that for the second one, they finished that one up and they said, "Look, let's just do a second one straight away. Let's see how it goes." You know, with Real Madrid, they had David Beckham, Raul, and Zidane make a cameo for the first one, and I guess that was like the meeting point where they said, "Okay, we're considering bringing you to make one for us now. We're also an Adidas team, Real Madrid. Let's figure this out. Like, let's see how it goes. It goes well. You do one with us then." And that's what happened. Uh, they basically made it straight away. They focused on things like making it more realistic, basing a lot of it. I think it's called like masters or backdrop. The backdrop of the movie is actual footage that they took of Real Madrid games in like the Champions League and I don't know. So instead of like the first one where it's all a movie, they would like in the first one I think they even filled an audience, a stadium, like the Liverpool stadium or whatever it was in that last scene. They filled it with an actual audience, like actual fans, to make it realistic. So they went to great lengths with the first one that they didn't with the second one. With the second one, it was more visual effects, and it was kind of ahead of its time that they're trying to juxtapose those real images with just actors playing along to the story that they're telling, and it kind of got too convoluted with the second one because Adidas was making too many Real Madrid things at the same time. They were making that Jose plus 10 commercial, which came out where it's like you see Zidane, you see Cizé, and all these World Cup players, even like Beckenbauer and stuff. They were making that, and I think that guy from that commercial, the little kid, he appears in goal too, just because he was doing that commercial. And they said like, "Hey, jump onto this movie as well." And what else? Like there was also this Zidane documentary that they made like 1 year before or something that came out in the Cannes Film Festival, and I think that's where they basically got the idea to make um to film actual footage like Real Madrid versus Arsenal in the Champions League and then use that instead of I think it was like the quarterfinals they lost to Arsenal. Instead of using that, just figure out a way to turn that into an actual final of the Champions League within the story, the narrative that they're telling in Goal 2, where Real Madrid is a protagonist. And so they basically put up too many ideas at once. They kind of rushed it. They were listening to online blogs where people were saying make it more authentic, like look at what's actually happening in football, soccer, and make it more like that instead of fantasy. And they started listening to that, and that's how they made the third one, where they basically didn't even change the actual story that happened, where England got out of the World Cup really soon. They didn't change a thing. They left it the way it was. Instead of like in the second one where they shaped the Champions League to make it seem as Real Madrid won it, they didn't do any of that. They just told the story as it was in real life, and no one liked it. It was like everyone said it was terrible. No one could finish it. Like it was already hard enough for English fans to see like Rooney getting the red card, and to see that again in a movie dramatized where you could change something and at least give it a happy ending or something. No, they just did the same thing and no one liked it. So what I thought I could do was basically pick up on where the second one left off, where it says to be continued, and basically um, continue the story. Now Santiago Munez a manager, and people take him for granted. He's just an MLS manager, and like let's be honest, to European people, uh, Americans and even like Mexicans, it's like a subspecies. Like when it comes to football, soccer, at least, it's like I don't know. So basically, he gets an offer to manage a team in the Premier League, and it's not any offer. His half brother, who um, is half Brazilian. I mean, well, he's Brazilian. Uh, is on that team, and his half brother. I mean, he doesn't appear in goal one or two. I invented him. He's like his father had an affair and this and that, and and well, it wasn't an affair because his mom had left him, but whatever. Basically, his half brother he went viral on social media because of his connection that he revealed to Santiago Munez, and then out of all that came out that Glenn Foy, Santiago Munez's former agent, signed him on and basically turned him into a superstar. And now he's at the biggest Premier League club, but there's a serious problem with his attitude. He's like he's too confident. He takes panenkas all the time and stuff like that. And what we know about Santiago is that he's a master at set pieces. So what what the story is about is Santiago trying to come, reach middle ground with his half brother, who is more of another generation. He's more of this, but they're basically from different generations, and I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. Like, and so I thought this would introduce this franchise into a new audience, and it got I talked to some people. A lot of stuff happened, and it basically went nowhere. But I mean, from the conversations I had, it seemed like everything was gonna be a done deal. It's like I don't know, whatever. But it's like for example, let me think of the first thing that happened. I basically wrote two of them. I wrote goal 4 and 5, and for goal 5, I mean I'm gonna spoil a little thing. Whatever. It's like it's never gonna happen. So whatever. At the end of goal 4, Santiago basically he's kind of banned from football for something. Whatever. And no one wants to sign him at the beginning of goal 5. So I made it a Liga MX team. That's like a Mexican team. Uh, they hire him as a manager, and they want to bring his half brother on as well. And so I went to the director of marketing of CF Monterrey, invited me to the stadium to her office to talk about it, and she was like, "Look, we have no budget for this, for goal 5, but you can direct in the meantime a documentary about the women's team, and what we'll do is we'll review it because I didn't give them the screenplay for goal 5. I figured, maybe they're not even going to do it, so I might need another team. Maybe they're not interested. Uh, I gave them a screenplay for goal 4, and they said we're going to review it with the president, and we're going to try to get financing from Puma, like they did with Adidas for the first movies. And Puma is their kit sponsor, designer, whatever you call it. So that's basically what they said. Then she said, talk to my assistant as well. I talked to him. He said the same thing. And basically, they left me in the dark. After that, every time I would contact her with like a paragraph, saying all sorts of stuff that has happened, she'd answer with just saying like hello on WhatsApp, and that was it. And it was terrible. It was like what's going on here? Like, I don't understand. Like, I would call her and like say like, can we meet up or something? And she, uh, no answer. Like, I would have to ask her that on WhatsApp, and she would be like, yeah, later. And I would do the whole paragraph again, and same thing, like, hello, can we talk about this? And she would just postpone it, and that was it. So basically, that went nowhere. And I figured, well, the fourth one, goal four, is about the Premier League. Maybe I can talk to some team in the Premier League. So I sent an email to Manchester City, and um, their parent company, which is called City Football Group, they responded and said like, we're enthusiastic and blah blah blah, and we'll ask Sony Pictures, which is our partner through Sony Pictures Television, if they want to do it. And I was like, whoa, that fixes all my problems, because, I mean, uh, the rights to the first one, I think first and second one, belong to the theatrical ones. I don't know who owns the streaming right. I guess that recedes to the creator, which is Mike Jafaris and maybe Adrian Butchart. Um, but the rights to the theatrical, like if you wanted to see it in theaters, uh, for the first two, and since we're continuing that storyline, belong to Disney. And I figured, well, if Sony Pictures has a existing relationship with Disney through the Spider-Man movies, and I mean, technically, right now they're lacking a big franchise. Maybe they'll make this their priority, and maybe they'll handle all this. Because, I mean, they just lost James Bond. That was their big franchise. That was the one that made more than $1 billion for them. And that's basically it. Because Spider-Man, they share with Disney. And that's 50-50. So, yeah, it makes more than $1 billion, but they don't see all of it. And technically, they're one of the big six. So I figured, with the streaming age and them having to compete, I don't see them competing. So maybe this is a must for them. With the World Cup coming up, and right now the Club World Cup in the new format, it's impossible to say no to this. There's like, what's what is the flaw in this that wouldn't be able to make money, or that people wouldn't like? What's the problem? I don't understand. So basically, um, I thought it was pretty much a done deal. I talked to other people as well. Like, I talked to Ronaldinho's marketing director to see if he wanted to be a creative consultant. He said that he's interested. And I said, I have nothing concrete for now, but let's just leave it there. And who else? I think I talked to Stephen Delane's agent, the guy who plays Glenn Foy, and he said he's interested. Who else? I sent like a random email to the Wembley Stadium because I want a scene filmed there for the Goal For, and they answered through an agency called Oma Studio Group, and they said that it's usually prohibited to film in the Wembley Stadium, but that they would be willing to let scenes be filmed there, which is incredible because I mean, maybe not as incredible as it sounds, because later I found out that Edgar Wright's Running Man actually just filmed there, so it's not like a once in a lifetime thing that's never happened. But I mean, even a movie like Bohemian Rhapsody, which made like almost $1 billion, that didn't film in the actual Wembley Stadium. So it's a pretty big deal. That's like something we've never seen in movies, I think. In a movie, in something that's not a documentary. We haven't seen that. So that's like a huge deal for them to be open to that. Uh then I mean, I talked to some other people and stuff, and I figured that at some point someone's gonna pick this up. It's like, uh, maybe I have no credits, no experience, but if you read the screenplay, I mean, you can make it out for yourself, whether it's quality or not. Uh, and well, what else? I mean, if it were that challenging for them, I mean, the Manchester City guy, the owner, I don't know his name, but I know that he's like super rich. He's like a billionaire or something. It's like if they really wanted to make their team be as globalized as Real Madrid became after goal 2. Real Madrid was like in the ground at that time. Like they had won one Champions League, I think it was in 2001, 2002 season. And that was like thanks to that incredible Zidane goal where he volleys it. But the point is that they'd gone like 4 years with nothing. This was a time when Ronaldinho was at Barcelona and overshadowed them completely. And Barcelona became the team that now everyone has a shirt of theirs. Like it's like a must, especially like in Latin America. But so basically, what I'm getting at is that Real Madrid was in the dirt. All they had was their history and like Beckham in terms of like uh and well, okay, they had the Galacticos like Robert. They had a bunch of players like Guti, Roberto Carlos, Ronaldo, Robinho. They had like a bunch of players, but as a team, they couldn't achieve anything, and so they kind of needed the fame prior to actually achieving the the results. And for the fame, they needed to really expand their team into something that's not merely historical, something that doesn't live with what it accomplished in the past, and that actually, young people can aspire to. I don't know, that young people can become fans of. And Goal 2 basically did that for them. After that is when they signed Cristiano Ronaldo and he became Mr. Champions League, breaking all the records, and now he's considered like the first or second player of all time. Before they achieved that, they needed to really globalize, which costs money. But to them, I don't think it costs anything. I think it was Adidas that paid for it. So it's like I'm thinking if I can get these people interested and say that they're enthusiastic, they obviously have the money to do this, and I'm wondering why they haven't done it. I mean, you have the Club World Cup, and whether they win it or not, that's not gonna guarantee that people all over the world become fans of them. People all over the world became fans of Barcelona because of Ronaldinho. And then after that, he mentored Messi, and Messi became the one that they followed. It was about the player resonating to their souls, being all happy and enjoying the sport. And for that, you need to think about your brand. And I think Manchester City even hired like one of the top, I don't know what his role is, but it's like brand strategist or something like that from Barcelona, who worked during that time with Ronaldinho when they overshadowed Real Madrid in terms of like popularity and stuff. And it's super crazy to me that this team has that much money. This is the team with the biggest market value in the world, and this is the sport that has what do you call it? The biggest market. The sport with the biggest market, and this is a team with the yeah. So it's like these people should kind of care about this stuff. So in my mind, I thought at some point this is going to get made. I don't see it not happening, and it's like I don't know, it's just super crazy to me. Um but basically I already did all I could. I even hired, they were they it was like they were kind of leading me on, and it wasn't going anywhere. And all it would take for like people in Monterey, like I don't want to brag or anything, but this is the richest municipality per capita in Latin America. Like these people if they saw that someone from here is working on a big movie, they would invest so much money that Hollywood would be like, "What the hell? Like what? How do they have so much money?" And they would be so envious because they when they get money like that in Hollywood, it's usually like from a sketchy deal, like Wolf of Wall Street, where it was like from some sketchy deal and some stuff happened. So basically, uh, I don't know, like it's super weird to me that it wouldn't go anywhere when there's so much potential. And so I don't know what else to say about it. Like I tried my best. I even got this uh like this PR guy. I saw that he had like very great a very great resume. Like he'd done PR for like Transformers, Watchmen, Harry Potter, and I don't know. I was like, wow. Like even Watchmen, like it did do well at the box office, but that has some of the best marketing of all time. Even though it like if you actually see the marketing to that movie, that's what has influenced marketing for so many movies that have been way bigger successes. Um, so basically, I told him like, let's just go forward with trying to put this on the top movie out the major movie outlets, news outlets, and I mean they're writing articles about all sorts of stuff like Heat 2, which is like the Michael Mann sequel to Heat. Uh, and there's no one attached to it or anything, but he wants to make it, and there's a book, so that's an article. And another one is like Luca Guadagnino's American Psycho remake. That hasn't been greenlit, but there's articles around it. And what I've seen that happens is that once those articles get published, you see on IMDb, Letterboxd, all the movie websites, social media, everyone goes crazy, and the movie gets made. It's what happened with movies like Deadpool when it was barely a short film. Uh, like Deadpool, if you think of it, um, had first appeared played by Ryan Reynolds in the 2009 movie Wolverine Origins or whatever it's called, and nobody liked that character, was poorly received. But then this short film changed everything, and it wasn't the quality of the short film itself. The first movie in 2016 is kind of similar quality, but it wasn't about the quality. It was that it came out and people online went crazy. They said we need to see this movie. Like this is a superhero movie that hasn't been made, an R-rated superhero movie, and not one like there has been R-rated superhero movies like Watchmen, The Punisher, and a lot of others, Sin City, but uh, but the thing is that they weren't what do you call it, like meta. I forgot the word for it, like that they're in uh that they make it clear, they break the fourth wall, they make fun of their their self and that sort of thing. So that's what people wanted to see. The internet went crazy just because a few articles were written, and I feel that if you publish one of those articles about a goal sequel, especially right now with the Club World Cup this summer, it's like it's everyone's gonna go nuts. Uh, because like finally Americans have sort of grasped soccer. Like they finally have Messi, and you see celebrities appear at their games like Leonardo DiCaprio and like all sorts of people. Like everyone actually likes it now. They understand what it's about because of him. It's not. It's no longer like the MLS. Uh, is no longer something where players go just to I don't know. It actually has quality now, basically. And because I mean, Messi just won the last World Cup. He won the Copa America, and basically, they got someone at the peak of his career, who's considered the best of all time. So I feel like Americans finally like the sport, and that opens the market to the USA movie market, which is the biggest. Like it's bigger than the Chinese one, which is like catching up, but the USA one is the biggest in the world, and that opens the door to football soccer movies. And what do you think of when you think of the biggest one, the biggest franchise related to that? It's like it's obviously goal. So I mean, I've tried my best with this. It went nowhere. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, I even tried to pair it with this other movie I wrote, based on Paulo Hewitt's book Forever the People, and he kind of told me he basically said that he authorized me to adapt it. So I mean, I figured out at a certain point, some big movie studio is gonna say Oasis is the biggest band in the world. What's the source material we could adapt to tell their story through film? That would go down to his book, and that I have a screenplay for it. We would hash out a deal, who gets what, and that would be it. But basically, what I try to do was pair these two projects. They're both Manchester related. They make Manchester look like the best at football, the best at music, which is like for me it's true honestly. So it's like some big movie studios, they usually try to pair movies, like they call it like packaging or something. If it's a single movie, they're not doing it. It has to be something they can pair with another project. And I felt like these two movies could fit into that category. For them, everything has to be a sequel of a sequel and already tied to other sequels that haven't come out and all sorts of stuff. I felt like these movies could have been billion-dollar movies for them. Maybe not franchises, like maybe nothing comes after them, but for sure these are billion-dollar movies. Oasis is the biggest band in England, and like some people think it's the Beatles, but honestly, like today, it's Oasis. So I mean that's their biggest intellectual property, like for England. So it's like you have that story, and then you have this other story related to a sport where it's the most popular sport in the world, with a story that hits some people to their core, because it's about an illegal immigrant in the USA who kind of achieved the American dream, uh, because he was given an opportunity there, even though he leaves the Premier League and then to Spain. He kind of whatever. It's like something that resonates with people. So basically, it's almost an hour, so I think I'm gonna finish this up, and maybe do it like every week, or maybe never. I don't know. I'm not sure, but uh, it's like with the Oasis reunion being sold out, and the Club World Cup right now with a new format. It's finally the Club World Cup is bigger than the Champions League, and you don't have to go to Europe to find the biggest tournament, the biggest competition in football soccer. Now it's finally something that the whole world can join into, and it's not like this European supremacy thing. That's what I love about it, and so it's going to become more popular than ever. And so you have these two things which are a huge deal right now, and I have these two projects and nothing happened with them. So it's like whatever. I'm gonna turn the page, and focus on other stuff. It's like it's their loss. It's like honestly, I'll just keep doing me, and I know that they're gonna regret it, but to each his own, and that's it. That's basically all I have to say. I'm gonna leave this at exactly 1 hour. Um. Uh. Well, it's super weird that for like podcasts and stuff, they talk nonstop. Like I feel my throat like burning. Okay, I'm gonna stop this now. Goodbye.